What if this war was never meant to be avoided? February 28, 2026, the United States and Israel launched one of the most significant military operations in a generation. Hundreds of strikes, dozens of cities, one country, Iran. The official story: nuclear weapons, imminent threat, a necessary strike. But here's the question nobody on cable news is asking. If diplomacy was within reach just 3 days before the bombs fell, why did the bombs fall? Let us start with what we are told. For years, Iran had been enriching uranium, edging, experts said, toward weapons-grade capability. The IAEA, the United Nations nuclear watchdog, had flagged concerns. Western governments were growing impatient. Then came February 25, 2026. Iranian Foreign Minister Abbas Araghchi declared that a historic agreement with the United States was within reach. Diplomacy, he said, had to be prioritized. Iran's position on nuclear weapons, he insisted, was crystal clear. They did not want one. 3 days later, the bombs dropped. On February 28th, in a joint operation, the United States and Israel began strikes on Iran, targeting its nuclear program, its ballistic missile infrastructure, and its leadership. The surprise attack killed Supreme Leader Ali Khamenei and other Iranian officials in the middle of active nuclear negotiations. Think about that. Not before negotiations, not after negotiations failed, during them. The Trump administration offered various and conflicting explanations for the war: to ward off an imminent threat, to preempt Iranian retaliation, to destroy missile capabilities, to prevent a nuclear weapon, to secure Iran's natural resources, and to achieve regime change. Multiple explanations, conflicting explanations. Which one was true? Iran and officials from the Pentagon itself rejected claims that Iran had been preparing an attack. The IAEA confirmed it had found no evidence of a structured nuclear weapons program at the time of the strikes. So we bombed a country during peace talks with no confirmed evidence of an imminent threat. Is that the full story, or is that just what we are told? Here's the thing about this war. It did not start in February 2026. It started in 1953. A United States and United Kingdom-backed coup deposed Iran's democratically elected Prime Minister Mohammad Mossadegh because he tried to nationalize Iran's oil industry. In his place, they propped up the Shah. The message was clear: Iran's oil does not belong to Iranians. 26 years later, the Iranian people revolted, the Shah fell, and Iran became something the West could not control, an Islamic republic. From that moment, the relationship never recovered. Fast forward to 2018, the nuclear deal known as the JCPOA was working. International inspectors had access. Iran's program was frozen. 8 years of diplomacy intact. Then Donald Trump tore it up unilaterally, without cause, without a replacement plan. Iran, in response, began stockpiling enriched uranium and largely suspended IAEA monitoring. So let us be precise about the sequence. The United States withdrew from the deal. Iran responded. The United States then pointed to Iran's response as justification for war. This did not happen overnight, and it did not happen by accident. Before we ask who benefits from this war, we need to understand something fundamental. These two countries do not just share a friendship, they share a machine. Since its founding, Israel has received more foreign aid from the United States than any other nation in history, totaling over $310 billion in inflation-adjusted terms. Not Ukraine, not Western Europe, not any NATO ally. Israel. In 2025 alone, the United States committed $3.7 billion in military aid, in line with a decade-long security agreement between the two countries, a floor, not a ceiling. And when you include emergency supplemental packages for the 2024 to 2025 fiscal year, United States military assistance to Israel reached nearly $18 billion. That is not an alliance, that is an infrastructure. Now look at the hardware. Israel has 751 active arms sale agreements with the United States, worth roughly $39 billion. The large majority of Israel's arms imports come from the United States. Every F-35 in the Israeli Air Force, American. Every Iron Dome interceptor, co-developed with American firms. The United States has also guaranteed Israel's qualitative military edge, a formal commitment now codified into law, ensuring Israel is always the first country in the region to receive the most sophisticated American weapons platforms. Not just any weapons, the best weapons first. Now ask yourself, when two militaries share weapon systems, intelligence networks, and joint development programs spanning decades, are their actions ever truly independent? The United States and Israel have collaborated on the research, development, and production of defense systems, including Iron Dome, David's Sling, Arrow 2, Arrow 3, and Iron Beam, the next generation laser defense system built with Lockheed Martin. These are not just purchases, they are partnerships. And partnerships come with alignment. Consider the political dimension. In the weeks before the February 2026 strikes, we know from reporting that Israeli and Saudi officials lobbied the Trump administration repeatedly for military action against Iran. We know phone calls were made. We know pressure was applied. Both the Biden and Trump administrations had previously tried and failed to stop Israel from expanding its war to other fronts. Jerusalem's escalations had already culminated in September 2025 when Israel struck Qatar, a major American non-NATO ally, without United States authorization. And yet the aid kept flowing. In March 2025, Secretary of State Marco Rubio used emergency authority to fast-track $4 billion in military aid to Israel, stating the Trump administration would continue to use all available tools to fulfill America's long-standing commitment to Israel's security. Emergency authority, fast-tracked, how closely are these strategies aligned? Now here is where it gets interesting. With the current United States-Israel Memorandum of Understanding set to expire in 2028, Israel is reportedly seeking a new agreement that would run through 2048, locking in the relationship for another generation, 2048, a 22-year commitment signed in the middle of an active war. An act of Congress from 2008 actually mandates that the executive branch must notify Congress before any arms sale to any Middle Eastern country except Israel, to confirm the sale will not erode Israel's military advantage. No other country on earth receives that protection by law, written into the legislative framework of the United States government. Does this alliance shape decisions behind the scenes? Look at the evidence. A senior United States official resigns and says the war started due to Israeli pressure. The diplomatic track collapses in 72 hours. The strikes begin with joint coordination. And the man leading Iranian nuclear negotiations, the pragmatist, the deal maker, is killed in the opening days. None of that is a theory. All of that is documented. The question is not whether this alliance is powerful. The question is how much of what we call American foreign policy is actually a joint decision. When the most powerful military in human history shares its weapons, its intelligence, its technology, and its legal frameworks with a single partner state, and that partner state's leadership is lobbying for a war just days before it begins, is this alliance responding to the war or helping shape it? Now we get to the uncomfortable part. When a war starts, the first question any serious analyst asks is not what happened, it is who benefits. Let us follow the oil. Iran forced the closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the world's most critical oil choke point. Global energy markets went into shock, prices spiked. One analyst described the situation as the conflict now hitting the plumbing of the global energy system. And here's what is interesting. According to the Washington Post, Saudi Crown Prince Mohammed bin Salman had multiple phone calls with Trump urging him to attack Iran. Trump's decision came after both the Saudi and Israeli governments lobbied him repeatedly. Saudi Arabia, Iran's largest regional rival, also the world's second largest oil producer. When Iranian oil is off the market, Saudi oil fills the gap. We are not saying that is why the war happened. We are asking, is it a coincidence? Then there is the money. The Pentagon requested an additional $200 billion from Congress to fund the war, $200 billion, to the same defense industry that profits from every missile fired, every jet deployed, every bomb dropped. The military-industrial complex does not just benefit from war, it depends on it. And then, the political dimension. A senior United States counterterrorism official named Joe Kent resigned from his position, publicly stating, "We started this war due to pressure from Israel and its powerful American lobby." An insider, on the record, walking away. Who benefits? The question does not answer itself, but it demands to be asked. The war you see on the news may not be the real war, because alongside the bombs and the missiles, there's another battlefield entirely: information. Planet Labs, a private satellite imagery company, quietly announced it was restricting access to real-time images of Iran, citing genuine concerns its data could be used to target personnel. The company said it was taking proactive measures to ensure its imagery was not being tactically leveraged. Think about what that means. The same satellite data that exposed Russian atrocities in Ukraine, the same images that documented destruction in Gaza, suddenly restricted. At the moment, the world most needs to see what is happening inside Iran. Why? And while the cameras pull back, the narrative moves forward. Before the bombs fell, the official story was Iran is dangerous. Iran is irrational. Iran is lying, but Iran's foreign minister Araghchi told reporters that the United States was responsible for the war engulfing the region, and denied that Iran had been targeting civilians, arguing that the broad United States military presence across the Gulf made escalation unavoidable. Two narratives, two realities, and most of us will never see the primary sources ourselves. Meanwhile, Israel deliberately killed Ali Larijani, the Iranian official who led the nuclear negotiations, widely regarded as the most pragmatic and diplomatic voice within the Iranian establishment. Analysts said the move may have been aimed at closing diplomatic avenues to end the war. You want peace, you kill the peacemaker. The war you see may not be the real war. Step back, way back, because what is happening in Iran is not just about Iran. The conflict has spread across at least a dozen countries, closed the Strait of Hormuz, and killed thousands of people across the region. Global travel and trade are disrupted, flights halted, shipping rerouted, financial markets destabilized. The conflict also reignited hostilities between Israel and Hezbollah in Lebanon, displacing nearly 1 million people. A ballistic missile entered Turkish airspace, a NATO member state, triggering urgent talks about collective defense. The war is no longer contained, it never was. And here's the question that should keep you up at night. Trump himself has floated winding down military operations while simultaneously ruling out a ceasefire. The United States is reportedly considering plans to blockade or occupy Iran's Karg Island, its primary oil export hub, winding down, while expanding the objectives. At what point does a war to prevent a nuclear weapon become a war for regime change? At what point does a regime change become occupation? At what point does occupation become something that has its own word, one that history books do not use kindly? We do not know where this ends, nobody does, but we know this. Wars are rarely just about what they say they are about. The stated reason is the headline. The real reason is buried in the footnotes, in the phone calls between world leaders, in the contracts signed with defense contractors, in the pipelines that run beneath countries we have never visited. Is this just the beginning of something much bigger? The honest answer, it already is.